During the Holocaust, the Nazi regime created this vast, truly terrifying network of camps. So, today, we're going to dig into how the system was even built, what life was actually like inside, and why it's so incredibly important that we continue to remember it. Let's get started.
And that's really the big question, isn't it? How did something like this spread across an entire continent? Well, it definitely didn't happen all at once. It was actually a gradual, very systematic process that grew from just a few small sites into a continent-wide network of pure terror.
So where did it all start? Well, the very first camps appeared almost immediately after the Nazis took power, back in 1933. But their purpose at the beginning, well, it was very, very specific.
And things escalated fast. What began in 1933 as a way to silence political enemies quickly, and I mean quickly, expanded to target so many other groups. By the time the late 1930s rolled around, this camp system wasn't some temporary thing anymore. No, it was a permanent, official institution designed to enforce terror.
It's really important that we're all on the same page with what this term actually means. So here's the definition of a concentration camp. The key things to focus on here are inadequate facilities and forced labor or to await mass execution. These places, they were designed specifically for suffering.
Now, here's something that's absolutely crucial to understand. This whole system operated outside the law from the very beginning. The first camps, often set up in old, abandoned factories, held political opponents. But the critical part is that these prisoners were held without any kind of normal trial, completely bypassing the entire legal system.
Okay, so we've seen how the system was created. Now let's look at what happened to the people who were forced into it. From the moment a person arrived, a chilling process kicked in, a process designed to strip away every single thing that made them an individual.
And this wasn't chaos. It was a cold, calculated, dehumanizing procedure. After a brutal journey that could last for days, prisoners had everything taken from them, their possessions, their clothes, even their hair. They were handed a striped uniform and given a number, and in some camps, that number was tattooed right onto their arm.
This really illustrates that final terrible step. Think about it. A name connects you to your family, to your history, to your entire identity. By replacing it with a number, the system tried to erase the person and leave only a prisoner. This was a key strategy, you see. It was far easier for guards to inflict cruelty on numbers than on actual human beings.
So, what did it even mean to survive day to day inside this system? It meant you had to endure a routine that was literally designed to break both your body and your spirit.
Every single day was a battle for survival. It would start with the dreaded roll call, where prisoners were forced to stand for hours, no matter the weather. Any sign of weakness, any little mistake, was met with the most severe punishment.
The living conditions were intentionally horrific. Everything was designed to weaken the prisoners. You're talking about overcrowded barracks, constant gnawing hunger, and almost zero sanitation. This meant diseases like typhus spread like wildfire, becoming just another weapon used against them.
And if all of that wasn't enough, there was the forced labor. Prisoners were forced to work more than 12 hours every single day, often doing dangerous, absolutely backbreaking tasks.
I mean, the contrast here is just staggering. While prisoners were facing dangerous work, starvation, and constant beatings, the guards who enforced all this brutality lived in their own separate quarters. They held total, absolute power over life and death.
Now, this system of suffering wasn't just in one place. As the Nazis expanded their territory, the camp network grew and grew, becoming this sprawling web of terror that stretched across an entire continent. You know, not all camps were exactly the same, though some of the bigger ones served multiple functions. There were labor camps, which were all about production. There were transit camps, which were basically temporary holding centers. And then there were the extermination camps, built for the sole, horrifying purpose of mass murder, often using gas chambers.
The scale of this is just, it's hard to wrap your head around. We are talking about thousands of camps and subcamps, everything from these massive, infamous complexes to smaller sites right next to factories. And the whole thing was connected by this huge railway network, which was like the logistical backbone, transporting millions of people across Europe to these terrible places.
But, and this is so important, even in the face of this overwhelming brutality, people resisted. And it's crucial to understand that resistance wasn't just about armed uprisings, though those did happen. No, resistance was also found in these small, quiet, but incredibly powerful acts of humanity.
This quote just captures it perfectly.
Sharing a tiny piece of bread, teaching a secret lesson, or just forming a supportive group to help each other survive, these were all acts of defiance. They were ways of holding on to your humanity in a place designed to destroy it.
So, when World War II finally came to an end, it brought the end of the camp system. But for the rest of the world, it was really just the beginning of understanding the true, horrifying scale of what had happened.
As Allied soldiers began liberating the camps one by one, they were met with scenes of just unbelievable suffering. The soldiers themselves were completely shocked, and it was their photographs and their film footage that provided the first undeniable, gut-wrenching proof of what had been going on.
The immediate aftermath was, as you can imagine, incredibly complex. The liberating armies rushed to provide medical aid and food. The world, through these shocking photos and films, was finally discovering the truth. But for so many survivors, the struggle was far from over. They had lost everything: their homes, their families, their entire communities.
So how do we remember today? Well, we do it in a lot of ways. Many of those campsites have now become memorials and museums. The stories of survivors, their testimonies, are carefully collected and preserved, and this history is taught in schools all over the world to make sure that we never, ever forget the victims or the system that persecuted them.
So, why is this history so vital right now, today? We study these events not just to understand the past, but to learn from it. Remembering serves as this incredibly powerful warning about where hatred can lead, and reminds us why protecting the human rights of every single person is absolutely essential for our present and for our future.